So there's been plenty of times here on Depraved and Debaucherous I've talked about narcissism. And I have taken time to talk about my own personal account on how I definitely had, at sometimes, some of those traits of narcissism that could have definitely come out if I allowed it. If a woman would have stayed around with me long enough before, if they would have accepted and tolerated the self-destruct button that I kept hitting to push them away when I felt like they weren't going to go ahead and take, stick under my control. I felt those feelings. I had those thoughts. I definitely projected that. And I'm not afraid to say that I did. I know it. This is one of the biggest things why I talk about this subject over and over, is because there's a lot of guys that do it. Now, I'm not saying every guy does it, but there are enough guys out there that if they are just looking to fuck around, or if they are really good communicators and great at relationships, there are those guys out there. But then there are other guys out there that were awkward and did not do well when it comes to relationships. They might have come out of single families and, only mothers taking care of them and raising them. So the fatherly dimension of what they needed to be to become a man and to become proper, to be a good, provider, supporter, lover, and protector. A lot of these younger guys don't have those kind of traits. And it's very apparent. And look, it can even come from, and I'm going to tell you this too. Look, I've done Uber driving for 5 years. I've done almost 5,000 rides. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen people that are, guys that are friends with girls, and the men are definitely gay. And even they, like friends, have narcissistic tendencies, or pushy, have the red flags, are manipulative, like friends. Because in some cases, some of those guys have been friend zoned. Because they might be bisexual, they might be attracted to the girl, and sometimes even a guy that might be persuaded one way or the other, if they're attracted, they have a love for that other person. It could be sexual, or it could be something more. But if the woman doesn't recognize that and does not offer a way to show appreciation, there's something wrong right there. That even narcissistic tendencies can come from, not just people that are just people that are friends that you made friend zoned. And when you do that, you make the mistake. Plus, the other thing too is that there are women that have not gotten ready to get back into the dating field because they've gone back out there rebounding too quick from a relationship that was toxic, or that they had been the victim of a rape or assault or molestation or something inappropriate, any kind of propositioning, anything like that. When a woman is feeling uncomfortable and they just feel like they need to be compelled to get back out there when they're not ready, and they're not finding a guy that is understanding enough of what's going on to realize, okay, she might have gone through something. Because there are some dumb guys that made some really dumb mistakes. And of course, we don't like as guys that the women take it out on us. But we didn't go through what they went through. It's not right. It's still not our fault. I mean, women still have to go ahead and realize that, listen, whatever happened to you, you can't take it on the other guy. And yeah, it's not something you're going to go ahead and bring up and talk about. But guys, that's where practicing patience comes in. You find the girls that are definitely wanting to go ahead and hook up. And if you want to go and fuck around or whatever, go for it. But with these other women that you want to have relationships with, if there's something there, what you need to realize is, pick up a psychology book. Listen to this program, Depraved and Debaucherous. I'm giving you some of the ideas to say, okay, look, if you're going to get yourself involved with somebody, what you want to know is if you feel like they're not completely communicative, if they are hesitant, avoidant, anxious, the attachment theory I've talked about on this program, on a previous episode, one of the full-length editions. All these things right here, you need to be able to read a woman, her nonverbal cues, her body language, and not be afraid to ask her if there's something there, because if you're able to go ahead and break through and not ask just questions to try to go ahead and investigate or interrogate in a way, which you're not trying to do, but you're going to do it anyway, then just realize that, you need to go ahead and really understand what a woman's gone through. That some of those questions about the people they were with and understanding how they reflect on other men or on other people and what's gone on with them, how they talk about their jobs or previous work or anything from their past. If they bring up something and you feel that negativity is there and it's like, wow, somebody got really hurt here. If you really care for that person and you feel like you have a chance to be with them and you really want to be with them, you can't go into this without feeling like there's nothing to lose. You have to just go into it with nothing to lose. Okay? Nothing to lose when you get into a relationship or you're dating. Ask the questions you want to ask. Just be honest because you're honestly interested and you want to care. And so in this particular episode, I'm going to go through a number of things that have been talked about when it comes to narcissism because it's amazing how much information's out there about it. And this is just kind of a quick precursor playbook to tell you about what the narcissist will do and how you'll know certain cues that are going on to realize. Because remember, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to friendships, it's not in what you hear from somebody say out of their mouth, it's what they're not saying. I understand it's not comfortable to go ahead and think that sometimes you need to think the worst or think there's red flags that have come up with somebody, but it's complete transparency, complete communication. And realizing that when you're going to be with somebody in a relationship, which is what the book I've talked about, Addicted, has talked about, is that you want somebody you can rely, depend on, that's going to be there for you, that loves you unconditionally. That's the kind of person you want to love, hold on to, never let go. But they have to show that to you. And you have to realize that kind of love's coming in. But when you don't have that kind of love coming in, you're trying to work your way out to that. You're trying to find your way there, if it's even going to be possible. But we know, man, guys like me and girls out there and guys in general, I know you want to date just to date sometimes. It's just like, we just get out in the field. If you find somebody you're attracted to, then just get what you can. And I understand that part. But there's also a point where you realize you want to try to get what you want to get from the relationship, even if it's going to be short term. And you know it's going to be short term. And then you might say it's not because you manipulate yourself, saying, well, you're going to say what the girl wants to hear just to get to her. And that's the other part that's bad. We, as guys, we have way too many concessions. We concede way too much of ourselves. I realize that now in my age. And that's what happens here. We concede way too much. We give up too much of ourselves to allow ourselves to get hurt. And in the meantime, the women don't open up themselves so much and they don't offer their trust. And there's a variable number of reasons why they wouldn't give their trust. Okay. What you want to be able to find out is if you feel like you can't get this person to trust you, why? And sometimes you don't want to go ahead and ask the question. You want to lead them on with maybe a little bit of cold reading, a little bit of, let's just see if this, say if you know somebody that went through this, what would you think? Like you find a way to find out if they'll tell you something. If they won't tell you why they can't trust, then they're not going to. But guys won't go through that because some guys and in our, teens, 20s, you're just going to do whatever it takes to get laid. And sometimes you're going to go through these alternate routes, manipulative routes. Sometimes, the woman's going to be manipulative too, but really we're manipulating just for the fact to get laid. And women, if you're looking for relationships, you can just realize that things are too good to be true. You need to realize those cues as well and realize maybe that something more is going on here and you just don't know. I don't know. It's things like that. There's so much more to say about this, but I'm going to just continue to just piecemeal this together, continue to bring this up on various episodes, recurring episodes of Depraved and Debaucherous, because I want to make sure this point comes across. And I know there's people out there that listen to this program and they catch my points on this. And, I'm getting new listeners to YouTube and people on the feed, and I appreciate all of you listening in and catching the show as you do, because I'm doing it for a purpose. I'm trying to do a great service to those out there, taking from my experience. But I'm also not judging or blaming any of you out there for doing what you do. Because dating and relationships suck now these days. And for you to do it now, I mean, listen, you can listen to any people that you want about how you need to do whatever you can to make yourself viable. Absolutely. Okay, if you can't beat the 6-figure income, 6-pack, 6-foot tall man that a woman might desire, which is 2% of the entire population of the U.S., then be the best version of you possible. But then also I would say, don't rest on your laurels either. Don't be somebody that you're not. Like, the whole idea too is that where everybody wants to be said, well, you need to go and look like this version of you. It's just like the women. Why can't we just appreciate and love ourselves as we are without all the extra part of, okay, well then the woman has to get so put together and so much makeup and so this and that, because they're not going to keep up with that every day. And then eventually they're going to start letting it go and be more relaxed around you. And women, you have to realize we like when you're relaxed and comfortable wearing yoga pants or, skinny jeans or shorts, whatever, and just chill back. You don't have to go through all that extra work sometimes. And also just keep yourself natural. We love natural. We love beautiful women, young, and not having to go through so much work that the health and beauty industry push you through to get to. And because of that, you might not realize, but you put guys under a lot of pressure themselves to feel like they need to go ahead and reach some certain expectation. Plus, if you were raised by a single mother or a family member that was female only, and you never got that male bonding with a father, or uncle, or a grandfather figure to really set you straight, then you have these expectations that, men are just meant for a reason. And that's not good either. You want to find healthy ways of having good relationships, or just to have fun and screw around. Like, have it either one of those ways and just find a way to do it. But also do not compromise who you are. Don't feel like you need to conform to who you are. There's somebody for anybody out there. And look, if it's not somebody you find right now, then you know what? The option of going overseas and finding a woman that will absolutely love you, there's plenty of women that will. If you get your passport, you decide to go and take a month, take a year, whatever, get yourself away and let a woman find you. They want to wife you up, because women are raised different than America. That's just obvious. Unless you find a woman that is in America that was raised right from the right kind of household, that were given different cultural traits than they are in America. Because it's hard to find a good woman raised right, or a good man raised right for that matter. So we're going to deal with a lot of damaged goods out there, all of us. You got to figure out a way to take care of that. A couple of things from Psychology Today and some other places. If you're emotionally intelligent, right, there are ways narcissists can really affect you. Prosocial tendencies, seeing the good in people, the ability to self-reflect, empathy, and attaching heartily in relationships are emotionally intelligent qualities. Let me repeat that again. The emotionally intelligent see the good in people. They're able to self-reflect, they're empathic, and they are attaching heartily in relationships. These are many people pleasers, many compassionate, caregiving type of people, nurses, veterinarians, doctors, and the like, right? And those are the 4 ways that somebody could be emotionally, from the emotional intelligence, that you can be hurt. So keep that in mind. Here's what they say now are the emotional. An emotionally intelligent person, first, is usually warm-hearted and sees the good in people. Second, an emotionally intelligent person is self-aware, which means he or she routinely looks at herself or himself. Third is empathy, frequently considered a necessary element in close and healthy relationships. And finally, an emotionally intelligent person attaches securely and heartily. The idea is that narcissists can definitely prey on all those different traits that emotionally intelligent people have. But that is somebody that's people-pleasing. That's somebody that is empathic. That's just great qualities. And anybody who's emotionally intelligent is a wonderful person. Is precious. But some of those men and women that are emotionally intelligent, they get hurt badly. And they are easily manipulated and are prone to toxic relationships. So keep that in mind if that happens to you. Another one, what about when you're talking about somebody that you want to be with, that you want somebody that's going to make you happy, that makes you laugh? You always hear that in a profile. I want someone that can make me laugh. Well, how about a story that says, when does a sense of humor become unhealthy? That what makes you laugh sometimes is no laughing matter. Mark Travers, a PhD in social instinct, says that in general, humor is healthy and joyful, can make difficult experiences easier, but excessive self-deprecating humor may function to help people escape from underlying stress, and people who find violence funny may have higher levels of moral disengagement and desensitization. So yeah, somebody that might laugh at other people at others' expense, or find humor that is blue or kind of out there, instead of just the natural humor that's just natural charisma. Something that's just naturally funny without finding people being put down as part of being funny. Those are other qualities you need to worry about as well. Another story talks about gaslighting and phrases to look out for from relationship experts. So if you are in a relationship and you feel like somebody is gaslighting you, then you need to keep in mind of some of these examples. Shifting blame to another person in order to avoid accountability, or called deflection. Denying the truth. Minimizing or dismissing someone's needs, or the gaslighter makes the victim's needs feel unimportant. Disapproval, like a parent constantly disapproving of their child's decisions and questioning their judgment, will eventually be internalized by the child. Questioning their own judgment. Alienation or isolation, using love as an excuse. Forgetting, where something that happened, they've forgotten what took place or denies it even ever happened. Invalidating emotions, saying something like, you don't really feel that way, or it's not that big of a deal. Withholding information, that the victim fears asking for clarification so not to appear incompetent. Paranoia accusations, you're crazy or just being paranoid. Or constant criticism, which is the use of disapproval as a way to control someone's behavior. So other phrases a gaslighter might use. If you ever hear this in your relationship, red flag. I never said that. I did that because I love you. I don't know why you're making such a huge deal of this. You're being overly sensitive. You're being dramatic. You're not the issue. You're the issue, not me. If you love me, you would do this, you would do that. You should do this, you should do that. You're crazy. You're being delusional. You're just insecure. You are so selfish if you don't do this for me. You're imagining things. You made me do that. You don't really feel that way. That never happened. It's not that big of a deal. You're just being paranoid. Notice how good I could say those words, because like I said, I think I might have been one of those kind of guys gaslighting myself. These phrases, I know I used a couple of them. And guys, if you did use some of those phrases yourselves, if you use some of those phrases, check yourself. It's not a good thing. I'll take for one more story before I wrap this up. I know I've gone a little long for this one. Is 3 ways to tell where love ends and toxicity starts. Quickly, number 1, you're too quick to make sacrifices for your partner. And sacrifice is inevitable in most relationships, but is it always necessary? You got to ask yourself that question. Number 2, you're too lenient and letting things go, but we all kind of let things slide. You got to watch that and be consistent on what rules there are, or what you want, kind of like, leave the boundaries in what the relationship's going to be, and don't let it be stretched. Don't let those boundaries be violated. If you made the point to do that, keep to it. And also, your relationship number 3 is built around utility. When considering someone as a resource is completely wrong, it can be a problem when it's the foundation of one's relationship. You're relying on somebody because they're a resource. That you get things from them that you need. So that's one. And then also they make the point that no partner will be useful forever, and your partner can feel objectified. And we already know there's a lot of people out there that, especially men will do it, but women more part, I would like to say, that are more reliant if they need help with money, if they need help with things, that the woman might be more reliant on asking and expecting something from the man. And there are definitely guys out there that will just take advantage of a woman's generosity. That'll just give. And sometimes the guys will definitely ask. And if the girl's willing to give it, they'll just take advantage of it. Taking people for granted. That's just really not good. That's not good practice. These are some of the things you look about when it comes to the playbook for narcissists and just the toxicity in general. And just keep that all in mind. And just find your way to look at yourself and reflect in what you're doing with relationships and what your intent is. Same thing around guys and girls need to be thinking about this themselves. And realize we are flawed. And in the meantime, we are also depraved and debaucherous.